What's up, everybody? I've been getting a few comments about just what is the most effective mining rig you could buy, or what are the most effective components, what are the best components for mining. And I just figured I'd make a brief video about that. First of all, if you buy an entire pre-assembled mining rig, or any part of it being pre-assembled, someone's making a cut on that, and depending on how big it is or how much you're spending, it could be a pretty big cut. So if that doesn't bother you, that someone else is making a ton of money off you, then go for it. You can find some decent deals out there, especially for people who are freaking out right now that are trying to get rid of their rigs because they think the whole market is crashing. Go for it, do your research, but I have always kind of just really enjoyed building computers, and so I advocate more for building one yourself. So first of all, I would recommend getting a Bitcoin mining motherboard. Not even specifically Bitcoin, but this one has Bitcoin in the name. The ASRock H110 Pro BTC Plus, which is designed to hold 13 GPUs. It's got 13 PCIe slots. The plus side to getting a bigger motherboard is that a lot of cost of building a mining rig goes into the just the components to even make the computer run. Of course, the GPUs do cost quite a bit, but the more processors, the more CPUs, the more fans, the more hard drives, the more motherboards you buy, that's going to add on to your cost. So if you can minimize that by fitting a ton of GPUs on one motherboard, you're way better off. So I recommend getting a motherboard that's designed for mining, like the ASRock H110 Pro BTC Plus, because you can fit 13 GPUs on it. If you want to go smaller too, there are several really good brands that you can fit, six or seven GPUs on. Those are great also. I believe there's also one out right now. It might be the ASRock brand, I can't remember, that has 19 slots. Once again, do your research, but probably the biggest factor in building a cheap rig, or at least keeping your cost down, would be getting a motherboard that's designed to have a lot of GPUs on it. Also, of course, like I said, a lot of your cost is going to come from the GPUs themselves. So you'll want to make sure that you get GPUs that are efficient. Efficiency really is key in mining, because it doesn't matter if your GPU mines a whole bunch of altcoin and makes you a whole bunch of money that way if it's sucking just as much power from the wall. So you want to be able to mine as much as you can with the least amount of energy. Once again, do your research on that. But some of the best GPUs that you can buy are on the AMD side is the Radeon RX series, specifically the 580s and the 480s with the 8 gigabytes of RAM. Here's a picture of one. I have an RX 580. Unfortunately, mine only has 4 gigs of RAM, and the RAM does actually affect your hash rate a bit, so pay attention to that. But on the RX, or on the AMD side, those are probably your best bets, or some of your best bets, to get a very efficient GPU for mining. Next up, I have several of these EVGA GeForce GTX 1080 Ti GPUs. On the NVidia side, these are basically at the top of their class right now, whether they be water-cooled or just fan-cooled. These will get you the highest hash rate out of the NVidia brand. So, several of you who are new to mining, it's important to know that GPUs come in two different brands, and they are, they're basically built by two different brand names. There's AMD and there's NVidia. And so those GPUs, you will want to pick one or the other depending on what you want to mine. If you just want to make money, it really doesn't matter which one you get, as long as you make sure you get an efficient one. But like I was saying, the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti is also a good one. It's pretty efficient. There are some others who are a little more efficient, but this one definitely will give you the best hash rate and is efficient enough for me. And then lastly, something that may surprise you is that in mining, it really doesn't matter if you have a great CPU. It does matter if you have GPUs, the graphics cards, but the central processing unit or the processor really doesn't matter that much. So you can get the cheapest one you could find that's compatible. You want to make sure that it has enough lanes to support as many graphics cards as you're going to set up. But for example, the Intel Celeron, or Celeron, however you want to pronounce that, is a great CPU. For miners, it's not very powerful, but that doesn't matter because all you need is something that can run basically command prompt on a Windows machine or Linux, and the Celeron can do that just fine. So that's just my take on building a mining rig. I acknowledge that I am not an expert on this, although I have had some experience. If any of you disagree with anything that I said or have anything to add, I would be happy to learn from you, and you can let me know in the comments below. If I need to make any corrections, I can do so in later videos, but this is my take on it, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.